I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into a powerful book. It is called One, The Evolution of Civilization, and it's written by a thoughtful author, a terrific author by the name of Jay Horowitz. This intellectual exploration takes us through the vast history of human civilization, offering deep insights and profound philosophical questions about our societal evolution. Join us right now as we uncover the patterns and principles that have shaped humanity from prehistoric times to present. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Jay, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
What a pleasure it is to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you on our show, my friend. This is a wonderful book. You grew up in New York City. We were talking earlier. It felt like the sun rose and set just in New York City. It is a terrific place. It's like no other city in the world. You've got an authentic New York voice, which I miss hearing. You don't hear true New Yorkers anymore. My dad was born on William Street in New York City, so he sounded a lot like you. So there's some New Yorkers still out there who sound like you, but you also bring to the table a worldly view, because your career brought you to the far reaches of the globe. Tell us a little bit about how your personal journey has influenced this book.
Thank you.
Sure.
When you're speaking about my speech being New York speech, that's proper English. And of course, I tell all my friends in London, come to Brooklyn and learn proper English. And of course, they love that, because the truth is, when we hear the British speaking English, it's poetic, it's beautiful. And of course, New York is New York. Growing up in New York, I was born, brought up, and growing up in New York, I left right following college. So brought up in New York. As a native New Yorker, we thought New York was the world.
Yeah.
It was nothing else. The sun rose and set on New York City. We were the inventors, we were the creators, we were the manufacturers, we were the consumers. And on top of it, we had Broadway. We had everything. So that was New York. Fortunately, I got into business, and my business required travel, world travel. And world travel just opened my mind to see, hey, New York is great, but it's not the world. There's more to it. And every culture has a lot to offer. Just like we thought historically the Sumerians. Today, the Asians have a lot to offer. The South Americans have a lot even the Canadians. Everybody has a lot to offer. So travel is education. And everywhere I went, I concentrated to learn the language. I speak 8 languages, and each language has concepts and thoughts that you really aren't able to translate. You've got to get it in that language. So language and culture teaches things that we don't get in school. And that's what really got me into the book. From the travel and seeing different things got me thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking back to, hey, where do we come from? And all of these contributions from the different civilizations of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
E
And out of
pluribus
many,
unum.
one,
E
right?
pluribus unum.
Yeah. Tell us what inspired you to write One, The Evolution of Civilization.
When I was a young man, all of a sudden I became obsessed with thought. I was thinking, who are we? Where did we come from? What are we doing here? What is the human race? And naturally, that leads, what is the future?
Exactly, exactly. You get these questions as a young man. They sometimes become even more profound as we age. You wonder what it's all about, that What is the meaning of this life? What is this existence all about? And we try to piece it together, just like piecing together a puzzle. And you've done a great job at posing questions and answering questions in this book. One of the central themes of your book, Jay, is e pluribus unum. Tell us about that.
E pluribus unum means from the many we get one. Now, how did I write the book? I couldn't do this today without our ancestors. Now, let's talk about the Sumerians. Personally, I never learned about Sumerian in college. I never learned about the Sumerian civilization. Never heard of it. Doing the research in the book, which became, I was obsessed. I just went on and on with research. I learned a lot from the book. I learned about the Sumerian civilization. We're talking about, they were in the Mesopotamia area. It's like Tigris, Euphrates. And this civilization, which is almost 5,000 years ago, 4,000 to 4,500 years ago. Now, they invented the wheel. We always say, what the most important invention in the world, the wheel. Where would we be without the wheel? Do we know where it came from? Came from the Sumerians. The Sumerians invented agriculture. We were gatherers. People would go out and catch something, but they invented agriculture. They had irrigation. They had levees. I never heard of the Sumerians, but our world depends a lot on their contributions. Now, they invented writing. Okay? We don't have history before writing. We've got millions and millions of years of life, but we don't know other than the last 5,000 years or so, thanks to writing and thanks to Sumerians. So thank the Sumerians for me to write the book. But it wasn't the Sumerians alone, because they invented writing. But wait a minute, they didn't have an alphabet. They had cuneiforms. They wrote with lines. I can't read those lines. Yeah. They did, but the Phoenicians invented the alphabet. We all use the term phonetic. Well, it comes from the Phoenicians. Okay, so we've got the Sumerians inventing writing, the Phoenicians with the alphabet. But wait a minute, what are we going to write on? The Chinese invented paper.
Yeah.
So now you've got the idea e pluribus unum, because our civilization is made up of contributions from all over. Not one. We're becoming one thanks to contributions from all over. And thanks to the Chinese and the Sumerians and the Phoenicians, Jay Horowitz was able to write his book today.
Exactly. We all stand on the shoulders of past generations with knowledge and wisdom and skills and crafts. Absolutely. And you demonstrate that in your book. In your book, you talk about the software of civilization and why it is important. Tell us about that.
Well, of course, I started the book by thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, but I found I required background. So I went back to school. Yeah, I mean, I had graduated years ago. I went back and I studied history and philosophy and religion, anthropology, science, and in order to do that, I needed to have, the book is written in scientific method. Mm-hmm. It's not a romance.
It's not a romance novel, right?
Although life is romantic.
Yep.
It's not a mystery, but life is mysterious. But it's nonfiction. And to answer your question, I'd like to say it's written by scientific method. We have the introduction, and then we have the hypotheses,
Mm-hmm.
and then, of course, we have the theory, and then we've got the objective, and then theoretical foundation. Now I give the axioms here with all the rules. These are scientific rules that I'm asking the reader. Now I'm directing this to the reader. If you read the book, please read the introduction with the hypothesis, objective, and all of the theoretical foundation that the book is based upon.
Yeah.
However, then when we get to the evolution of civilization, we have chapters on every aspect of civilization.
Yeah.
And every chapter has a definition,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes into history and background,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have analysis and conclusion on each chapter in each aspect of civilization. Now, my recommendation to the reader is read the opening with the foundation, the scientific principles. Please read that. You have to agree with that to go on. You do not have to read every word in all of the chapters that talk about the foundation. If you find it interesting, read it. But
Right.
I had to put a lot in of scientific and history in order to make the case to get to the conclusion. Read what you find interesting, skip over what you don't, but then when you get to the conclusion, and this is my direct request to the reader, conclusion begins on page 261. When you get to the conclusion, please read the entire conclusion, because that answers your question as to the human element. We speak about civilization, we analyze it, we come up with the wonders of nature, the human element, and of course, part of my purpose is elimination of discrimination and where we're headed in the future. Where is civilization going into the future? Now, specifically, you asked me about Darwin, Charles Darwin's uh, 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 um, evolution, theory of
Right.
evolution, of the origin of the species.
Right.
And Darwin explains what I consider to be the hardware of the human animal, and the evolution of civilization explains what is the software of the human animal, and we call that civilization.
Wonderful, wonderful. We came full circle in the conversation, and I think this is a perfect spot to tell the folks at home once again about your book. It is called Evolution of Civilization. It's written by a wonderful guy, wonderful author, a true New Yorker, as I mentioned, and a world traveler as well. His name is Jay Horowitz. It is an intellectual exploration that takes us through the vast history of human civilization, and the book offers deep insights and profound philosophical questions about our societal evolution. Jay, before we leave you here today, I want to give you the last word. Anything at home, anything you'd like our folks at home to know about your book, what you hope they'll take away from the book, and basically, what is the takeaway?
Have an open mind, think about it, see where we're coming from our history, and it goes back millions of years. And here's something that I learned a lot from writing the book. Here's something that I learned, that the humans, and we come from, including Neanderthals, Cro-Magnons, we coincided with Neanderthals. About the last 10,000 years of the Neanderthal existence coincided with the early human existence. And we made it.
Mm.
Here's something for you to think about, Logan. You have genetic material from the Neanderthals, and so do I. We all do. And this is part of from one from the many we get one.
Exactly,
From
exactly.
E
My
pluribus
wife would
unum.
actually say that I'm more Neanderthal than most. Who knows? I haven't evolved that much, perhaps.
I
Jay, thanks
take
for
that. I think you should take that as a great compliment.
exactly. I'm the last manly man if I have a lot of Neanderthal in me, for sure. Jay, thanks for joining us here today.
It was my pleasure and an honor to be with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. The honor is all mine. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time. This time until next time on Spotlight.